In this part of 7.5, we're going to be using our rational root theorem and graphing to find the zeros of a polynomial function. Alright, so first thing we got to find our p and our q and all the factors of those. So 6 is our p, so p equals 6. And all the factors of 6 would be plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, and plus or minus 6. And then we have q, which is 10. And all of our factors of 10 would be plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 5, and plus or minus 10. So we want to find all of our combinations of p divided by q. So when you have a large number like this, it really helps to stay in some kind of order. I'm going to start with the 1 for the p, and then I'm going to make fractions with each one of these. So I have 1 over 1, and remember that's plus or minus. Let's just put a plus or minus. So we're going to have 2 for each of these. So you have positive 1 or negative 1. You're going to have 1 over 2, and that's going to be positive 1 over 2 or negative 1 over 2. So let's just start with that plus or minus again. Then you're going to have positive or negative 1 over 5, and plus or minus 1 over 10. And then we're going to start there with the 2's. So we're going to have 2 over 1, so plus or minus 2 over 1. We're going to have plus or minus 2 over 2, plus or minus 2 over 5, plus or minus 2 over 10. So, I want you guys to get the next two, so we're going to have all the 3's and ones with the 6's, and we'll come back to the screen when you guys are done. So pause it and come back to it. So these are all of our possible roots. There are a ton of them. So what we're going to do now is we're going to graph our original function, 10x cubed plus 9x squared minus 19x plus 6 in our calculator, and we're going to see which ones of these factors actually make sense, which ones we can eliminate. So let's do that. So here's what my graph looks like. So when I look at this graph, I know that I have an answer here at negative 2. So one of my roots is definitely negative 2, but there's still 2 more that I need to figure out. Well, this one right here, that one looks like it could be somewhere in between 0 and 1. So let's look at all the ones that are between 0 and 1. So we've eliminated about half of them, but there's still quite a few left. Now, these would all be the positive versions, so positive 1/2, positive 1/5, positive 1/10, and so on. These are all between 0 and 1. Well, to me, it looks like it's right around 1/2, so I'm going to try that one first because I think that's going to be my best bet. Now, how can I test if something's a factor of a polynomial? We can go back a couple sections and remember that if we plug in that number that we think is a factor and it equals 0, then it's a factor of it. If it doesn't equal 0, it's not. So if it doesn't equal 0, we'll cross it out. We'll move on to the next most logical option. So I'm going to start with 1/2, positive 1/2. So in my calculator, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in 0.5 for each one of my x's. 0.5 is the same as 1/2. And when I do that, I get an answer of 0. So, x equaling 0.5 or 1/2 is one of our roots. However, since it just touches, the graph comes down and touches and then bounces back up, that has a multiplicity of 2. With multiplicity of 2. So this counts for 2 answers here. And here's my third.